Hey guys, this is Joseph from Play Tennis. Today I'm going to be talking about tennis rules and how to keep track of the score in tennis. So whether you're thinking about going to play a competition or playing a social match with your friends, it's important that we're familiar with the basic rules of tennis as well as how to keep the score. Key point number one, firstly, how do we start the match? Traditionally, you start with a coin toss. So whoever wins that coin toss will get to choose whether or not they serve or return first, or they can choose which side to start on. Key point number two is starting the point. So the point will always start with the server serving from the deuce side, and they have to serve diagonally into the opponent's box. If they miss, whether they hit it in the net or they miss the box, that's considered a fault. They get a second serve if they miss the first serve. If they miss the second serve, that's considered a double fault and they lose the point and will proceed on to serve from the ad side. Key point number three is playing the point. One thing we need to be familiar with is the one bounce rule. So if the ball bounces more than once on your side, you lose the point. If it bounces more than once on the opponent's side, they lose the point. Also keep in mind, the ball doesn't have to bounce. So for example, if you're executing a volley, that's absolutely within the rules. On top of that, we also have to consider what's in and what's out. So we need to be familiar with the different lines on a tennis court, as well as tram lines, whether or not we're playing singles or doubles, because that will affect the usefulness of the tram lines. And a fairly obvious one, if you hit the ball straight into the net, you lose the point. Likewise, if your opponent does that, they lose the point. Key point number four is probably the most complicated point in this video. So bear with me, I'm going to try and break it down for you the best that I can. We're going to be talking about how to keep score within a game. So we need to be familiar with the values in the scoring system. So here we go. Love equals 0 points. 15 equals 1 point. 30 equals 2 points. And 40 equals 3 points. So let's say I'm playing a game with my friend as an example. I win the first 3 points in the game. The score will now be 40 love to me. If I win the next point, I win the game. However, if my friend wins the next point, the score will now be 40-15. He wins the point after that, it will now be 40-30. And he wins the point after that, it will be called deuce. So at 40 all, we call it deuce. Deuce basically means that we're even within the game. So either my opponent or I has to win by 2 points in order to secure the game. If I win 1 point at deuce, the score will now be advantage me. If my opponent then wins the next point, we'll be back to deuce because we're even on points within the game. Let's say my opponent now wins the next point. It will be advantage to my opponent. And then my opponent wins the point after that. It will be game because they've beaten me by 2 clear points. Okay, so if you got a bit lost there, no worries. Don't hesitate to rewind on the video. Once we've established how to count score within a game, we're going to talk about how to count score within a set. So in a tennis set, it's usually first to 6 games, and you need to win by at least 2 games. For example, a score in a set could be 6-4, but it could never be 6-5. If we get to the stage where it's 6 games to 5, we have to play at least one more game. So from there, the score can either end as 7-5, and that's the set over, or it will come to 6 all. And at 6 all, we will play a tie break. So this is where we get on to the next key point. How do you count score within a tie break? This one's the most simple out of the other two. It's basically first to 7 points, win by at least 2 points. So a score within a tie break could be 7-5. It could even be 9-7. Okay, so even though it's first to 7 points, a tiebreak can go on indefinitely if the players stay even within their points. Key point number 7 is switching sides. So this is something you have to do every odd game or every other game when you're playing the set. They do this in tennis in order to make it fair for both players, because we have to take into account the sun direction and direction of the wind. Okay, so by switching sides every other game is going to make it fair for both players as they experience the weather conditions on both ends of the court. Key point number 8, and the final key point for today's video, is winning the match or finishing the match. Okay, so this will usually come down to playing best of 3 sets. Those are the standard tennis formats. At Grand Slams, they play best of 5 sets, but on the whole, most tournaments will do best of 3 sets. So important to remember that. And in order to finish the match or win the match, you need to win 2 sets. So the final set score in a match could be 2-1 or 2-0. Okay, that's pretty much it. I hope you found these tips useful so you can get started on your tennis match play journey. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop a comment in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.